What is up, everybody? Welcome to Happy Hour Hoops, your place for all basketball talk across the associations, both associations, college basketball, whatever you want. We'll talk about it here. We're without Dunny tonight, but Jake Micah joined, as always, by Steve. Steve, how we doing tonight on this beautiful? Well, it's not beautiful, actually.
No.
It's in Chicago. It snowed and then rained.
That's the opposite of beautiful. Well, we're doing well. It's also not such a beautiful NBA slate tonight either. But we're doing well, outside of the fact the Mavericks didn't get the best news today. But other than that, Jake, we're doing all right. I do want to say, Jake, I'm sorry. But Stevie Boston has to fill in a little bit for Dunny. I promised Dunny that Stevie Boston would fill in. And first loss of the season. You lost to the Boston Celtics, which isn't a bad loss. It's no shame in losing that team, but you kind of felt that one going in, right? Didn't it feel like that was the spot? I will say, and I'll let you dive into it, but I will say, the old Cavs team doesn't make it a game like this Cavs team did, where they were getting kind of smoked at the start in the first half, and it was like, this might get ugly, and they roared back in the third quarter. I feel like the Cavs, I don't have any stats to back this up, but I feel like the Cavs might be the best team in the third quarter this season. You got your revenge after the Celtics getting beaten up on the Pelicans by about 50, but thoughts after that game, I don't think there's any concerns with this Cavs team, but I had to. I'm sorry, Dunny's not here. I had to have a little Stevie Boston, and the floor is yours.
No, I deserve some Stevie Boston because I accused Dunny of ducking the smoke here today. He's not ducking no smoke. How we doing, JBC, tonight? Thank you for tuning in.
What's up, JBC?
Dunny's not ducking any smoke tonight. I'll take it from Stevie Boston. That's all right. You had to look at it. I'm not using this as an excuse because fully healthy, the Cavs could lose this game too. But the Cavs injuries go in this game, Steve, were Max Strus, who's been hurt all year, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro, and Karis LeVert. All four of those guys play the same position for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it happens to be the position of strength for the Boston Celtics. So it was a little wary going in. Very wary about the Darius Garland thing is the scariest thing to think about, like, into the future, because he had the worst game maybe of his life. Honestly, he was in hell the whole game. And I do think having, whatever guy in the platoon of wings that's playing well, if one of those guys is, taking some pressure off of Darius, he's not going to play as bad as that. It was a unique situation here. But yeah, it did feel that way, but I was impressed too. The Cavs, they've been able to fight back in some second halves this season. I don't know. I don't have those stats in front of me either. And it's hard to Google these point differentials. I'll try to dig in a little bit later on. I believe that they are like 7th in the league, around 7 to 10 range, which I thought it would have been more. Houston, it's according to StatMuse, the highest point differential. And Golden State, obviously, high up there, too. But they are a team that's been really good in these second halves, in these close games. There's also been a lot of games where they've already been up, like last night when they're up 25 on the Pelicans at halftime or whatever it was. So they've been blowing those teams out like that, too. But it wasn't a very impressive run. Like, they're down like 23, I think, at some point. And they just grind it out. And it's a lot. It was a lot of it to the defense. And that's been the biggest thing is I wanted to give JB Bickerstaff all the credit because I've been such a hater, but he instilled an identity in all these core guys where they care about defense and they still play hard on defense. And Kenny Atkinson's a smart coach. I don't know if he's as good a defensive coach as JB Bickerstaff, but he has guys that are like fully bought into it and makes it a lot easier on that end. And then offensively, they could keep up. Like, that's the thing that was impressive to me is like by the end of it, they're keeping up. Mitchell is obviously incredible. Like, dude just can take over games in a second, and it's crazy. But the Celtics they just come at you in waves, and they don't even have Porzingis either. Like, if Porzingis is in that game and stretching out Mobley and Allen more, not that Al Horford wasn't 80% from three or whatever the hell he was, and just when Al Horford's hitting the corner threes wet single time, it's going to be a long night against the Boston Celtics.
Well, I mean, I think they started the game, they hit their first like 3 or 4, and it's just like when that happens with the Celtics, it's like, well, it's one of those nights.
Yep,
they're gonna shoot you out at the gym.
But here's what's clear to me, I think, is we're almost a quarter of the way through the season, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But it's clearly the Celtics and Cavs and everybody else in the Eastern Conference. And maybe I'm ready to say this. I've been a hater after last night. It was almost brought this up as a topic. If Mitchell Robinson comes back and is healthy, maybe because score, man.
They can.
Brunson is finally, him and Cat are finally kind of figuring each other out. And
still not afraid of the Magic if Banchero comes back.
They're gonna. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them, but are they that level yet? They feel like the Cavs last year, where they're gonna have like the really good year, and then next year they could be like best team in the East. Like,
but I feel like they overachieved
the KCP
a little bit
move
last year.
Is huge for that too, especially in playoffs. And they definitely overachieved last year. It also helps that for their case, when Banchero comes back, as we're going to talk about later, is that
Wagner's been unbelievable.
Well, he has been.
He's been unbelievable as like being the guy. He's putting up almost 30 a night.
Yeah, and
it's a Banchero injury.
And he struggled, towards the end of last year. And there were a lot of people that were, talking down on him. Like, hey, man, like, what's going to happen? Like, are you going to ascend, or is this who you are for the rest of your career? And he looks like he's ascending again. So, yeah, if you add Banchero, who was very much ascending before he got injured, they're a scary team too. But the rest of that East is like, it's just a mess. Like, it's just a shit show across the board. And these two teams are, the Celtics obviously the most battle tested in the NBA. The Cavs are pretty battle tested at this point too. This is a team, they went through a playoff run. They've been together for a couple of years. Like, this is a team that, has continuity, and that seems to be the theme across the NBA this year, is continuity reigning supreme. If you look on both conferences, like the teams that are in the top spots are teams that have been together for, years. True. So it's just interesting. But if I had to go down, if the Cavs had to go down to the Celtics in Boston, whatever. Like, it sucks, but it's better that than like if it was last night against the Pelicans, at home. I would have been really mad about that. The Celtics, it's like, all right. I mean, and they fought back. And now we got 3 more games of this.
Right? Yeah. You're 16-1. You can't complain about anything. You're 16-1.
Best point differential in the NBA still. Like, there's no flukes to this start. This team, they're not going to be like a 75 win team, but this team is this good. Like, they will be 60 wins, maybe high 60s at this point.
Kind of what best case scenario was, but kind of what we kind of saw as best case scenario. But obviously, besides Celtics game, Garland's played very well this year. The team's been healthy, including both their bigs, and Mobley has taken that step up this year. Mitchell seems all the way locked in, and your role guys are playing like they should.
Okay, so can we talk about that, because this is the Kenny Atkinson piece, right?
Ty Jerome
last night.
Wow.
Ty Jerome, man, he's gonna get paid this summer. He's on a $5 million. He's on a $5 million
right now.
No, I actually think he's 2 years, $5 million total. He's making $2.5 million this year. Last night they had Garland was out, and all the guys I mentioned that were out against the Boston Celtics were out. They had Jalen Tyson, the rookie, in the starting lineup, playing 37 minutes. Ty Jerome, as we were talking about, starting in this game. You had Georges Niang playing big minutes off the bench.
Craig Porter the winningest player in the past 5 years.
The winningest player, which that's crazy. But I guess the Cleveland and Philly has been really good regular season.
And then he was at Utah the year they were first in the West. He was in Utah too. Because I looked it up. I go, how is that possible? How was he ahead? I think Jokic was second. I think
Jokic was
that possible? And he was on that Utah team. That was
I think it was Tatum and Holiday. I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And so Jalen Tyson, rookie, getting his first huge minutes game, 16 points, 7 for 12 from the field, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. Ty Jerome with 29 points. He shows 7 for 12 from 3. Niang goes 6 for 12 from 3. Like, they beat Mitchell's playing, Mobley's playing, Allen's playing, but they beat him with the B squad. And beat up the brakes off of them. Yeah. It's crazy. And the Pelicans are obviously
I know they have no one.
They're down bad.
They have no one in that game.
But to do that on a night, I fade back-to-backs all the time, especially when you're traveling back home and everything. And they just
after a big loss too, an emotional game. Yeah.
And they just blew them out the water. And it was the third quarter. It was 18. They outscored them by 18 in the third quarter. And this team is going to beat up on teams like that. The rest of they play the Raptors on I don't know what day this is. Sunday night, I think, at 7:30. they're gonna beat the Raptors by like 30 if the Raptors play like they've been playing again. And so yeah, it's sustainable, and that's the fun thing. So I don't care about they're gonna lose games. That's gonna happen. It is what it is. Yep. I'm glad that they didn't push. Like I'm glad that they took the approach of let's rest these guys rather than push it. Like because remember the Warriors when they did the 24-0 start, they talked about it after losing that finals. Like we were gassed trying to push like as far as the we record, could. They said the win streak was a big issue for them. So I'm glad that the Cavs took the opposite approach of that and played it safe. But yeah, it's not they do play the Celtics next Sunday. Not this Sunday, but after Thanksgiving, 6 p.m. tip. So it should be fun. Let's talk about I threw this on there. We got to talk about Inside the NBA being here to stay.
We're back. We're all the way back. ESPN.
We're all the way back.
Don't add Stephen A. Smith. Do I like Stephen A? We don't need another. We don't need another personality on there. It's perfect as it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm just happy that it's back. I've told you nowadays, there's really only 2 shows or pregame shows I look forward to, and that's College Football Game Day and Inside the NBA. Those are really the only 2. I don't really care about any of the other ones. I usually just wait until tip, puck drop, kickoff, whenever it is, and turn the game on. Inside the NBA is always must watch, especially after the games too. It's really good after. I think when we talk about Inside the NBA, you always think of it as kind of the pregame show and then halftime. But their post game is fantastic. I'm happy.
That's when they really let loose. Honestly, that's when they're really like
exactly. I mean, it's just great, right? It's great. I think everyone should be happy about that.
Yeah.
Nothing else really to say. It's just great.
No, this is just a great part of a news and notes. We got really happy news with this. So the deal is they're licensing it through ESPN, so it's still going to be produced by Turner all the way across. There are 2 caveats from Bill Simmons that we have to keep watching. Shaq apparently doesn't even have a contract with Turner. He gets paid per appearance. Right. So that's going to be a big thing with Shaq's going to want to, how much money he's going to ask ESPN if ESPN would do something like that. It is what it is, whatever. The licensing thing, I'm not too worried about. Like TNT not getting to do what they want with the show and like it turning into like an ESPN light show because they're producing everything. Apparently they get all creative freedom, and we've seen it work with Pat McAfee. Like Pat McAfee show isn't any different except he tries to swear a little less, and it doesn't even work half the time.
Well, he brought that to game day too.
Yeah, exactly.
He brought that to game day too. Now, not necessarily the swearing, but just kind of the outrageousness, the energy, and the energy, exactly. And that's the thing. You have those types of personalities where any other show, if it goes kind of to ESPN or somewhere else, I get maybe a little concerned. But we're talking about Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, those 2 guys alone are not going to let anyone kind of tell them what they can and cannot say because they've been doing it for their entire careers.
Well, and if ESPN...
if there's any 2 like untouchable guys in the NBA, God forbid they do something really bad, it's Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal. I think they get away with whatever they want to say.
Yes, and the other interesting part of this is that Barkley and Ernie both had a clause that if Turner lost NBA rights, they would be free agents. So they have to renegotiate a contract either with Turner and ESPN or just with Turner.
Right.
But they're getting a big chunk of money potentially. Oh, yeah. Like they're gonna get a lot of money. Those guys. So those are just the moving pieces. But this is gonna get done, and Inside will be on every big ABC / Now the interesting thing is ESPN's not gonna have Friday nights anymore. So I wonder, until Christmas, how many times we even get. I doubt we're going to get them every Wednesday. The way this deal is, the way it said it, because it just said prominent regular season games.
Well, they're Tuesday, Thursday for TNT, so I could see Wednesday being.
I could see it.
What else do they have to compete Wednesday? You have Maction on Wednesday later in the year, right?
Nothing really. They're not competing.
College basketball, maybe, but
maybe it's just some leniency if they want to take a couple weeks off, the Manning cast type deal. That's what I feel like they do at the start of the season, as whatever you're going through, and then you start picking up once we get those Saturday night ABC games, and then it's Inside the NBA on Saturday night. People are locking into that. That's going to be amazing. Or Sunday afternoon ABC, same deal. Just seeing them The biggest thing is even the regular season, whatever, seeing them on the court at the finals, as actually being the finals coverage team
Right.
is going to be the best thing. That's going to be the part where where Stephen A will be there. I'm assuming they figure out a way Stephen A's in there too. But honestly, bro, I'm kind of interested if Stephen A was like on that set with them. At least not all the time, but at least sometimes, because he's not going to be able to alpha them like he does everybody on ESPN.
Right.
Like he's not the big dog in the situation. You're actually fifth. You're actually the lowest on this pecking order. So it would be fun to see his like energy, but then like it can't just be it's not gonna be the Stephen A show. Like Charles isn't gonna let that happen.
They wouldn't know. They push back right away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it would be fun. Or guys like Richard.
Yeah, like it's like a special. It's like a special guest. I don't want to see anyone regular on here. Besides,
but so maybe you know how the Tuesday nights they have like it's the different kind of rotating squad where it's
with like Vince Carter
and stuff like that. I wonder if it's an idea where they like we're gonna have at least one of our guys on, like and then we'll have a rotating cast. Maybe we'll have a night where it's like Lefko, Charles, Richard Jefferson, and like Dwayne Wade or something like that. So you mix in some ESPN people, like because there are some good people on ESPN who would fit. Like Jefferson is number one on that list. I would love to see him with that crew. If JJ was still on ESPN, he would be awesome on Inside the NBA. Like those types of. I'm trying to think of like who else. Like I even like not Kendrick Perkins. Oh, I don't want to see Kendrick Perkins.
Nobody wants to see him.
Don't want any part. Could you imagine Charles and Shaq just ripping Kendrick Perkins for a whole episode? They would be ready to unleash. But it's gonna be a good time. We're very excited about this. So let's get into let's speed through the rest of the news and notes here. The Sixers are in a complete disarray.
Shocking.
They held a team meeting. Maxey apparently called on Embiid for being late.
Embiid didn't like that.
Embiid was pissed that the story even got leaked, and he got mad. Quote, whoever leaked that is a real piece of shit, Embiid said. We talked about a lot of things. I don't want to get into detail, but that whole part took like 40 seconds. But it's Joel Embiid, so things will always get blown out of proportion. It's whatever, though. I'll take it. I'm the reason for everything, so I guess I'll take the blame for everything. That was a quote from Joel Embiid. That wasn't me saying that. That's Joel Embiid. That's crazy.
Here's the thing, though. He can't really play the victim anymore. You don't really have anything to back it up at this point, Embiid. Like, it'd be one thing if you were playing at an MVP level like you had been a couple years ago. But we got to stop. We got to stop with this and playing the victim card, Embiid. You got to figure it out. It's your team. They wanted to build around you. Why'd they get Paul George? To try to get a championship in Philly. You're refusing to play back-to-backs. You barely look like you're trying when you're playing this year, and now you're having issues with teammates? Grow up. In all honesty. Grow up.
It's crazy. How are you showing up
like a superstar? You want to be treated like a superstar in this league? You want to be treated like a Jokic, like a Giannis? How about get it together? Win a playoff series. I'm tired. I'm so tired of Embiid. I'm so tired of the Sixers, and I feel bad because this Sixers meltdown is overshadowing how good Jared McCain's been. It really is. It's true. It's overshadowing how good he's been. And it's just this team is an absolute mess. I love Maxey. I think Maxey's a great player, but we can't be doing this right now. The Sixers have no right to be having these issues right now. They have no right to be 2-12. I do not care what injuries have. That is inexcusable. Inexcusable to be 2-12 with this roster. And also, too, like, I don't care about Embiid crying anymore, trying to play victim. I just don't, Jake. I'm so tired of it. If they had the results on the court, be one thing. If they had the playoff success, it'd be one thing. But this is just drama. And you know what? We always kind of gave credit to Embiid with the whole trust the process and the failures and be like, oh, it's everyone but him. It's everyone but him. It's everyone but him. Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to look in the mirror and take responsibility for your own actions. And I think Embiid is part of the problem.
Yep. Steve, I don't think he's part of the problem. I think he is the problem at this point. If these are habits that are coming through like this poorly now, it means that they were some kind of habit before when it was going well. Right. But things were going well. So you let it slide for Joel. And now he's not showing up and he's hurt and all this shit. And it's like, we can't do this anymore, bro. Like, it's a breaking point. But clearly this is stuff that's been building, and it's been a mess. This team has been a mess since we even considered it a contender, since that it started since going back to Ben Simmons, since the late 2010s. Like, even when they were winning, like 58 games and being number 1 seed in the East. We still all thought they were a mess. No one trusted them in the playoffs when it came down to it. And they proved us right every time. And you have to, like, especially in the NBA, you go by the drum of your leader. Like, you are like, they, like, if their demeanor is wrong, you're fucked. It's part of the reason that LaMelo, like, I love LaMelo. He's amazing. He can't be the number 1 on a team. He's just not that. He needs to be the second guy. And this is a completely different conversation. That's completely for different reasons. But, like, there are talented guys in this league at the lead of teams that shouldn't be at the lead of teams. And that's part of the reason and it's not because they're bad basketball players, but it's only a select few in the world who can be a top basketball player on the best teams in the NBA. There's only, that group is so small. Like, it really is. And that's why I love the NBA. Because it's really the elite of the sport. Like, you talk about football, like, there's so many different variables of guys and, how, where they would rank in the pantheon of their sport at that time, contributing in a big game, which is part of the reason I love football for that reason. Basketball is because usually there's like 10 guys with the biggest egos in the world who deserve it because they're the best basketball players. They can just dominate, take over games. And the only reason they can even do that is the confidence they have. That's the thing too, is Embiid's confidence is clearly completely shot from whatever injury. Maybe it's just the injury. I don't know what the issue. Maybe it was
I think it's a mix of injury and
it's mental. Just probably everything.
Mentally,
right?
He's just not there right now, man. You can't.
I feel like he heard if he's hearing chirps about, if he's pissed, he's shoving reporters and he's complaining about leaks to the press and everything. He definitely heard the chirps this summer about Team USA and like people making fun of him and shit like that. So it's got to just all be building up for him, and then the pressure of not delivering and his body failing him. Like, those are all big mental things, and I agree, he's just not there. And Maxey, I understand the speed, like, moving forward, that he wants to just be like, let's figure this out and let's go. Like,
they're wasting his career right now. They're wasting it. I don't blame Maxey for kind of getting frustrated. But yeah, and then also,
and Paul George is hurt again.
Yeah,
and using his podcast,
same knee,
using his podcast to talk about the team. He's been there for like 2 months.
Can we put in like a new rule in the NBA that you can't have a podcast until you retire? As much as I love to like listen to it sometimes and the clips you get out of it, as the fans, we love it. It's got to be horrible for team chemistry. Has to be. Yeah. Has to be. The only one who really, I guess, makes it work in team chemistry is Draymond. Draymond just says whatever he wants.
But that's just because but Draymond is like
he's not the leader.
He's infallible, but he's also like he's like a legend in Golden State too. So like those players,
he's earned it.
It's a weird, But yeah, it is weird. In the NFL too. Like, Mike, why is there a Micah Parsons podcast, bro? You're like 24 years old. Then I'm 28. We started this podcast for 24. Nope, but I understand. I understand people saying the same thing about us too. Right. Like, we understand what we're doing here. But you're in the NBA, the chemistry and everything, it's got to be crazy. I can't imagine people were happy with Paul George. Why would you even talk about it, bro?
Why?
What are you doing?
And that's another one. It's like, why are we talking? Like, I get it. Like, your podcast and everything, whatever. But look, why is now the time to talk? Paul George, you haven't been good for this Philly team. I know you've been hurt. You haven't been 100%, but you just got hurt again. Like, good Lord, man. Speaking of injuries, I alluded to it at the start of the show, but Luka out for at least a week, reevaluated in a week with a wrist injury. Apparently it happened against the Pelicans at the start of the game. You see him kind of shake his wrist. Didn't think anything of it. Classic Mavericks. Leave him in the game. And this is kind of what happened at the start of this year, too, with his legs. They just, like, he doesn't look 100%, and they just keep keeping him in there. He's stubborn. He doesn't want to come out of the games. But I will say, I guess, difference from older Mavs teams or Mavs teams past couple of years, you can afford to sit Luka until he's fully healthy with this Mavericks team. Like, they can afford to do that now. Kyrie can be a one. Klay Thompson has looked good. Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes are stepping up now.
Yep.
PJ Washington's back. Lively Gafford, Jaden Hardy is nice when he gets a nice little roll. So please, Mavs, I get it. I understand it. And I know Luka's stubborn. It's ridiculous, though. It's like, just let the guy sit. Just let him get fully healthy. He was not supposed to play at the start of the season. He was hurt in the offseason. And the next thing you know, he's playing. It's like, why are we rushing it? Like, this is the future of
He's
your
got to get out of
franchise.
his
It's
own
not
way,
like he's
too.
32 years old, despite what ESPN wants you to think, when they're not even mentioning him as one of the best young players in the NBA, but they'll put SGA up there when, oh, by the way, SGA's older than Luka, and I'm not going to start ranting like I did last year about that. But the fact of the matter is, this should be a wake-up call to the Mavs that this guy's still young. This guy's your franchise cornerstone. There's no need to rush him right now. I know the West is a gauntlet. I know the Mavs haven't gotten off to the ideal start, but they have a good team outside of Luka. They still have a good team. Please let him go.
Yeah,
just let him rest for a little bit.
Let him rest. This is not. They're going to be in the thick of this all year. There's no need to battle ahead. And this team, Steve, they if you look at the standings, you're just a standings watcher or whatever. It's the box, the record. I guess they're out of the playoffs right now. Actually, looking here, which is crazy, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really matter because there's
they've looked
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams with 8 or 9 wins right now.
And they passed the eye test. They've passed the eye test.
Oh,
they've looked good this year.
Well, I was gonna say the point differential is still one of the top 5 in the Western Conference.
Metrics are favoring them too. Yep. They've played well. They, like I said, I just had that stretch of heartbreaks. 4 straight 1-possession losses. What are you gonna do? That one bad loss was to the Jazz. We're not going to talk about that, but. Outside of that, they're losing the good teams when they were Lively and PJ both out. Like I said, I'm not going to give Luka excuses because if he plays through him, he plays through him. I'm not going to be like, oh, he wasn't 100%. He still played through it. His choice at this point. I'm not going to give him excuses on that. But, the metrics are looking like the second half Mavs teams of last year. They're playing tight in games. They're not getting blown out. This is a team that I think is very close to going on a stretch where they could win 10 in a row. Just, got to get Luka healthy first. So sit him for a little bit. Rest up, Luka. Kyrie. I'll tell you what, must-watch basketball Kyrie season. Well, he's the one on the Mavs. Woo-wee! Now with this supporting cast around him, it'll be a fun watch. He's cooking already this year. So
it's been crazy, man. And the West is going to be fun. The other news from the West is the Warriors, who are atop the Western Conference as of right now, will be losing DeAnthony Melton for the season, which is a tough loss. They've used him in a lot of end game situations. Final minutes, everything. So big loss for them. But the reason the Warriors are at the top of the West is because of their depth. So they do have a lot of options there.
Yeah, they'll find someone. It's the Warriors at this point. It's the Warriors. I know you don't like to hear it, but it's the Warriors.
I've gone from beyond disdain to just immense respect. It's what happened. Same thing that happened to me with Tom Brady and the Patriots. Eventually, I was like, I can't even hate this team. Like, it's just impressive at this point. And I love Steph Curry, like, as a player. Like, I hate that he was, beat my team 3 times in the finals, but he's also one of the most exciting professional athletes I've ever watched in my life. So I don't really care. It is what it is. It is an honor to get to lose to Steph Curry in all those finals.
Fair enough.
So that's there with them. Westbrook hits 200 triple doubles, first in NBA history. So
shout out Westbrook.
Russ. Crazy that like when we were kids, like not Russell Westbrook, triple doubles were like mythic, and now in the NBA, Russ got 200. Everyone gets gonna keep going crazy. But hey, Russ has been doing this, and he's doing it again this year. He's been pretty damn good, so it's fun to see.
Did you see he held up the 200, the 200, and someone tweeted at it and goes, 50 years from now, someone's gonna be like, Westbrook dropped 200 points in a game, but we've lost the tape. I was like, that's gold. That's my favorite comment of the day. Comment of the day right there. But no, shout out Russ. I'm as big of a Russ guy as anyone. So this is awesome. It's kind of crazy to me. Like, you think about it, 200 triple doubles. That's almost 3 seasons worth of triple doubles. And probably going to be shattered by Nikola Jokic at the end of his
career. Yes, who is Jokic's at like 118 or something. He's in second place.
Stupid, bro.
Like, what the hell, bro?
It's
he's gonna be doing this for like 10 more years.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna shatter it. It's
Oh my god.
I mean, I think he's averaging well over a triple double this year. I talked about it last week, right? It's like 29, 14, and 11 and a half or something stupid. Yeah. And that was another thing too. I was Stevie Boston at the start. You know what? Now I'll throw Dunny under the bus a little bit. Dunny's like, oh, Tatum at the top of the MVP ladder. I think Dunny, pump the brakes. Dunny, he's having a good start to the year. He's playing well. Let's pump the brakes, Dunny. If Nikola Jokic is healthy and just keeps on doing what he's doing, there's no chance he doesn't win it, probably unanimously. because he's putting up numbers we've never seen before.
Yeah, Tatum. That shows me that the narrative is behind Tatum this year, but he really has to. He has to hold ground with Jokic. And Jokic
isn't that crazy?
Ceding any ground.
You win one championship and everything changes. And it happens in every sport.
Every sport, dude.
They did this in hockey with Ovechkin. With Ovechkin, it was he's not a good player, not a good team player. Just scores goals.
It's happening with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen as we speak.
Yup. Just whoever wins that one, the whole thing. Everything. Matthew Stafford for my Rams.
Bro, Stafford.
Stat patter. He was a stat patter is what they called him. They won the Super Bowl. He's a Hall of Fame.
He's a legit top 5 quarterback of this generation of quarterbacks, and he was hated forever.
But isn't that just so crazy?
This might be true, though. Dalen Terry, he might have.
Well, you know what, JBC? When Dalen Terry gets his championship, let's see if the narrative changes. Let's see if the narrative changes, JBC. No, but that's the thing. It's so crazy to me, right? Because it's like, what changed other than just getting the championship? It's like, and I get it. You play the games to win it all. You play it to win championships. But I also sometimes aside a little bit with what Giannis said, where there are successful seasons when you don't win a championship. You could still have a successful season, but the internet doesn't believe you're a good player success until you win one, and then after that, they're just riding you until the end of your career.
Is Jason Tatum a marginally better player than he was last year? Like, I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think maybe his shots improved, but also too.
But 2 years ago he averaged 30 and was shooting like.
And that's the thing.
It's like the same. He basically is having the same year offensively he had 2 years ago. It's like,
but that's what I'm saying. And but people will overreact, right? On a year-to-year basis, week-to-week basis, whatever. We were, looking at it just kind of like, we know Jason Tatum's good. He's established himself as a superstar. Like, we understand what he is at this point. Nothing really changed for me. Like, I thought he was a superstar before, and I still think he's a superstar now. Do I think he's better than Giannis and Jokic? No. Do I think he was better than Luka? No. But did I think he was better than Giannis, Luka, and Jokic a couple of years ago? No. So it's like, exactly. Yes, I think he's a superstar. He's always been 5 or 6 in my head or my ranking of like current players, right? But you have these people who went from he's number like top 3 future, and then they got bored with him because he didn't win, and then they're like, oh, he's not even the best player on his team, blah 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 blah. He's not even in my top 15, and then now this year they want to crown him again. It's like, just stay consistent. Why can't people just once in their life just stay consistent with their opinions?
It's because you want to know why though.
Everyone's so worried about being wrong.
That's it. But especially with NBA players, it's range. If you're like the 7th to 12th or 14th best player in the NBA, you're either overrated in most people's minds and should be like top 3, or you're trash. And there's no in between for a lot of those guys. And Tatum's probably like the 7th or 6th best guy in the league. And so it's that range. And he's also on a good team. So they're like, oh, his team helps him out. I'm looking at his stats right now, his averages. There's literally like, he's shooting. The only thing different from the last couple years is he's shooting a better clip from 3-point. He's shooting 39%. He shot 40% in 2019, though. Like, this is a guy that's like everything he's done before. The only thing that
everyone thought he was a bum before he got that championship, Jake. You got to forget it.
There's only one stat that's improved. He's averaging almost 6 assists, which he's never done before. He's averaged like 4 in his career. So one more. That's the MVP, Steve. You average one more assist.
Right. Well, but that's one thing that I think all superstars now have kind of improved, not just Tatum, but they have realized, I get blitzed, I get doubled, I better learn how to pass. And you see it with Giannis too. Look at his assists on a bad Milwaukee Bucks team. He's passing the ball. I know Jokic and Luka were kind of like the start of that, of the passing out of doubles. Obviously LeBron a little bit too, but LeBron was LeBron, right? It was kind of a completely different example. But now it's like, when you come into the league and you want to be a superstar, you better know how to pass. You better know how to pass. There are no more, ISO one-on-one and you're just going to score 60. It's just not happening anymore. You want to score 60, you better go nuts, but you also better be willing to pass out of it too. So,
for sure.
Yeah. No, got to give Tatum credit. All right, we've been way too nice to Boston. Let's move on.
I know. Well, let's make them really mad because I have a question for you. We're making Boston fans immediately angry after that.
Let's do it.
Are the Los Angeles Lakers a title contender? I'm just gonna give it straight to you. I'm not gonna build this up. They're 10-4 right now. LeBron is still LeBroning. He's still doing his thing. Anthony Davis is averaging 30 points a game. It's insane. AD has been incredible, one of the best players in the league again. LeBron with 24 points. They're both only average like 35 is a lot of minutes, I guess, but it's at least not like 40 any game, and it's pretty consistently the same thing. They're all of a sudden deep. Like they've got, Reeves has been awesome.
Reeves is great, dude.
Reeves fell off last year a little bit with more attention, and then he's been unlocked.
He's just good.
I think can we talk about JJ Redick, because that's what the way this team plays is the biggest difference. The way that they are so confident in their offense. They've never looked this confident in their offensive scheme. They've only looked confident in the years past if LeBron was on fire or if AD was on fire. That's really the only times they would go. These guys, and now, mind you, these teams have played incredible this year, but you see a game like last night where Connect, who is not named we mentioned yet, the rookie goes for 37. He hits, 12 threes?
9 of 12 from three.
9 of 12 from three.
And this is kind of like the classic, like JJ kind of gets the best out of his players, right? When you have like a player coach, sometimes the guys that kind of play like a similar style, not saying that like Connect was just kind of a spot up shooter at Tennessee, but he had a very quick trigger and is a really good outside shooter. And JJ Redick, I mean, what did we know about JJ Redick in his NBA career, right? One of the greatest shooters we saw, college and NBA. So he's really getting the most out of these guys, like Austin Reeves, like a Dalton Connect. Another one too, probably my favorite, second favorite post of the day. I already talked about my favorite comment of the day. Second favorite comment. Dalton Connect and Bronny James combined for 37 points last night. I mean, the Lakers, what a draft they had. What a draft they had with their two guys. They combined for 37 points. But no, all jokes aside, Connect's been great. And sometimes it's that confidence. Like, I think we talked about this last week with Dunny when he was like, is this rookie class kind of sneaky good? And I told him it's like kind of similar to last year's, where maybe they didn't have the kind of the hype coming into it. But these guys, all they need is the minutes, the confidence, and then to emerge. Because I say this all the time, if you make it to the NBA is pretty much the shortest roster of any professional sport. You got to dominate to get on an NBA roster at every single level. And Dalton Connect was, in my opinion, the best player in college basketball. I know Zach Edey was two-time player of the year.
Agree.
I understand Zach Edey was putting up just unbelievable numbers, and I will give Edey credit too. I don't know if you've watched Edey this year, but he's hitting threes. He's having good post moves. He's kind of adjusted to the NBA game. But Dalton Connect was an absolute baller at Tennessee. He could get you a bucket anytime, anywhere. He had very good court sense. He just kind of knew the moment and felt like had kind of that clutch gene that you can't teach. All he needed was kind of an opportunity, right? And you're not really going to get that full opportunity getting 10, 15 minutes off the bench in spurts. Goes into the lineup, Jake, scores 20 points a couple nights in a row, and it's like, all right, let's kind of unleash him. And I'm not going to say he's going to average 37 a night, but my word, I mean, just the confidence he had. And that's kind of what happened with Austin Reeves too, right? He was never really supposed to kind of start. Couple years ago. So, and I think JJ Redick, being a player coach, you kind of know your players and you know kind of their confidence, you know how to feel them out. And I think that's where the advantage comes to a guy like JJ Redick, who played, a handful of years ago. Like he kind of knows it. He still understands it. He understands the game, understands the moment. And I think it helps a team with the Lakers like this, because you look at these role players and it's like, yeah, you can have your game. And just remember, you still got LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But the big question on are the Lakers a contender is Anthony Davis. I think at this point, it's like when I was refusing to jump off the Miami Heat ship until they fall apart. Like, I'll just go down with the ship. I don't want to be wrong about him anymore. LeBron James, not that I've said he's going to fall off, but Until he does, I'm going to say he's going to be playing like a top 5 player in the NBA.
He's almost averaging 10 assists this year.
Until he does. Until he does. Bro, he's averaging 25, 7, and 9.5. What?
It's like, bro, he's had
if you 25, 7, 9.5 is some guy's peak.
Bro, his 27, 7, and 7 stays the same. He just like trades it. Like it's always gonna be the same amount of like he's gonna get whatever. It's gonna be the same production. It might be a couple of extra rebounds, might be a couple extra assists, and a couple less points now in his life. But he's gonna give you that production no matter what if he's on the court. That's what he does.
And it's so impressive to watch because like you watch him, dude, he looks like he's 28 years old. I don't understand what he's done. I don't understand how he
sleeps a lot.
Out. Yeah,
he sleeps a lot.
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
This out.
If I could take 2-hour naps twice a day every day, that'd help.
Sure.
Yeah. In a cryo chamber.
but man, it is so impressive to watch. And the biggest thing, like I said, for the Lakers to be a contender, Anthony Davis has to be healthy. Is he healthy right now?
Yes.
And the Lakers are a very good team? Yes. But that's a big if, and we've seen that story before. But right now, I think they still make a move. I think they are going to try to bring in someone. I would love to see them maybe bring in another guard.
If they can make a move, close your ears, JBC. Close your ears, JBC. If they can somehow make a Russell for Levine like swap of some sort, that this team is scary.
You just play point guard Bryant.
Levine is your and Levine is like he can be your fourth scorer some nights where he's just like has open shots all night, open threes. He would love that. Yep. Or there's nights where you're like, no, Zach, we need you to like create and do some stuff. And he can do that too. But the Levine issue for me is usage. It's not talent. I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to a guy like that. We don't got to get into a big Zach Levine conversation, but that feels like the guy that's going to get sent to the Lakers. But there's a move down there. There's a move coming for sure, and it's Russell, who I think would be the guy. Even though he's not playing, terrible this year, but it just feels like that's the guy they want to get out of this lineup. Defensively reasons, probably more than anything. Not that Levine helps that, but he has the higher offensive upside.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely does. And I think it would be a great move. We've been hearing his name floating around the Lakers for a long time. But yeah, to answer your questions is quite simple. Like, yeah, they're a contender. It's scary because I feel like there's like 12 contenders in the West.
we need, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I will be secretly hoping if my Cleveland Cavaliers can't make the finals. Now, this would be a great, if it was the Lakers and Cavs, oh my God, I'd just be happy. I wouldn't even be mad no matter what happened. I'd be a happy camper. But a Lakers-Celtics finals is still – I've been talking about it on this podcast. We were so close with the bubble. Dunny and I were doing this podcast. Bubble basketball is going, and we're like, bro, can we get Celtics-Lakers right now?
Right.
Heat. Just ripped out the rug from under us. The next year, we're right there again. The damn Heat and the Nuggets. Rip it out from under us. This could be it. This is the one shot we got here at it. But we talked about Connect, Steve.
Yeah.
And, yes, making a lot of impact. And you've got a theory you'd like to share with the people.
Well, I mean, you're looking at some of the top rookies this year, and there's been some guys having a big game bounce back, but the two big ones right now, Dalton Connect and Jared McCain. And what's kind of the theme of those guys? They're college basketball guys. And I still believe that I think college basketball, especially nowadays, the level it's at is the best, I guess I would say, competitiveness or preparation before the NBA. Yeah. I think that's fair to say. You look at Zach Edey, which another great example. He's having a nice year, but the narrative completely changed on him from a few years ago. Oh, he won't make it in the NBA, And he just kept playing. He kept playing. Teams kept trying to adjust to him at Purdue. He kept adjusting his game. And next thing you know, like I said, now he's shooting threes in the NBA. He's got good post moves. Connect and McCain, not only are they like, we know you can shoot. We know you can score. You're bucket getters, but the college game has kind of taught them kind of game sense, kind of taught them the moment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Things that, we didn't really see right away from Jalen Green or a Scoot Henderson, guys that may have take a year or two extra. And I've just been seeing this the past couple years because it feels like no one really wants to be like, oh, the best players in college basketball are the best NBA prospects. And part of that, I think, Jake, is because we were spoiled by getting generational international players where you got Giannis, you got Jokic that both went late, right? You got Luka. He was a high pick. Obviously, Wemby was number 1 overall. But these are guys where I feel like they're exceptions to the rule, right? And it almost scared, I think, NBA GMs and NBA fans to be like, oh, we don't want to miss out on these international guys. We don't want to miss out on these freaks. And now you looked at the draft class last year. It was like 5 international players we didn't really know, but they were all just 7 foot and they were like a stretch forward. We're like, oh, he has to be good. He's a stretch forward. And I'm not saying they're bad by any means because we've actually seen them put together some pretty good games. But I think we got to start respecting college basketball more. And I think we got to start respecting the players that just look great in college basketball. Chet Holmgren was a great example. Looked great at Gonzaga. And people are like, oh, he's too skinny. He won't make it in the NBA. He's too skinny. He's too skinny. He won't make it. He's not that great. And then obviously he had the injury, but then he kind of bulked up. And it's like, yeah, he got stronger and bigger because he was a college kid. Now he's not. He's a professional. All he has to worry about is basketball training and working out, right? And he had that, kind of big game sense. He was taught by one of the best coaches in college basketball history, Mark Few. So it's one of those where it's like, I'm starting to kind of lean towards maybe we shouldn't just be throwing guys down to like pick 8 or 10 because they were a college basketball player and maybe they only played a year, or maybe I'm starting to go the opposite way. And I gotta shout out my guy Drew. He's a Duke fan, and as much as I hate Duke, you know how much I hate Duke. Drew, friend of the pod, shout out Drew. He's right where there are just so many guys from Duke that are ready for the NBA level right away because of, what they kind of went through at Duke, whether it's the preparation, right? Whether it's those big games, those hostile environments, being able to work with some of the greatest basketball minds, some of the greatest basketball coaches in these major conferences. So to have that, and to have that coming in, like Jared McCain, Dalton Connect, like these are guys, they played in some really big college basketball games. They played for some really big college basketball teams. Tennessee and Duke, yeah, they're pretty decent programs. Played for some good coaches, and it's like they have that already. So now it's just like, all right, just ball, right? Yeah. Just kind of play your game. You kind of have figured out everything else. And yeah, maybe you might not have the physical attributes that some of these international players have. Some of these freaks we're finding from across the pond that are 7'2" and have a wingspan of 100 feet. Like, yeah, maybe you don't have that, but you can ball. And you've proven you can ball in 35 game sample size last year. And about of those 35 games, about 20 of those was against pretty good competition in some big moments.
A big thing that helps, I think, too, and then guys should consider a lot is NIL is going to help this too. Like Edey
I think so too. Absolutely.
Edey doesn't stay if he's not getting a bag from Purdue last year to stay for that other year, right? And that's a great thing. It's helping in college. College football has more parity than it's had in years because of college basketball. And college basketball is only going to benefit, and it's better for, like you said, better for the brands too. Like of having these great teams with these guys sticking around and everything. But it is like it's getting big game situations, and then you're not scared of the moment when you come into these situations.
Exactly.
Or if you're a guy who's 18 coming into the league from high school or from overseas, and you're adjusting to the culture and everything, like that's a lot to ask on a guy. To a Connect where he's just like, bro, I watched LeBron James my whole life, and now I just got to go and spot up for him. Like I'll do whatever you tell me. Whatever you guys. I watched JJ Redick when I was a kid, just like be one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. Tell me what to do. I'm ready, coach. Like there's so many guys like that. The McCain thing is awesome. Like we knew that was a steal for them right away. Like how do these guys? And it helps when you go. It helps obviously. They're stepping. Not well. I guess for the Sixers, he's not stepping into a good team, but theoretically good team. But
but he's stepping into a role, right? A role where he
exactly. It's defined.
He can kind of show
know
off
exactly
what
they need him to do.
And
exactly.
As bad as the Sixers have been, he has talented players around him. He has, you know what I mean? So it's one of those situations. Yes, I know the Sixers are 2-12. Yes, I know they've been bad. But Jared McCain's a great example of a guy that's like, he already has the confidence. You can tell. He already has the basketball skills. We just got to see the minutes. We just got to see it. And that's what I've been loving to see. And that's what I'm hoping going forward, Jake. And obviously another example is this Cooper Flagg kid at Duke, who, we might start hearing tank for Cooper very, very soon. But this is an example of a guy who would probably going to go number 1 this year, who absolutely lit it up in high school. And he could have been a guy that didn't need to go to college, right? Because we already saw, everyone kind of already assumed he was going to be one of the top picks. He goes to Duke. Shout out Drew again. I told Drew I'd shout him out on the podcast because as much as I hate Duke, he wanted me to talk nice about Duke. So I will. And Cooper Flagg's one of those guys. You go to a program like that, you're gonna get that 30, 35 games and still some more confidence. And I'm hoping that kind of leans us back to some of these big names going to play college basketball and then going high in the draft. Because I think you're right. I think the NIL is going to help tremendously with that. And I also think if we get examples, which Cooper Flagg could be a great example of a guy who went to college being the top pick and having college guys be the top picks rather than the G League and the international players, I think we're going to start to see an increase in more of those super freak talented guys being like, hey, I'll play a year. I'll play a year at North Carolina. I'll play a year at Duke. I'll play a year at Kansas, because that I think would really help grow both games. Because also too, and I don't want to go too deep into this topic, but we've kind of seen the ratings that's kind of started slow at the NBA season this year. And Adam Silver tried to claim it was the election in the World Series instead of taking blame. But I also think too, if we didn't have, as many, I guess, unknown players with these international rookies, and we had more of kind of the guys you wanted to see because you saw them at college. Like, perfect example. I mean, John Morant and Zion Williamson. When Zion was at Duke, Ja was at Murray State. Everyone wanted to watch it when they got to the NBA. That's all you wanted to watch. No one really cared, to be honest with you, right? As Zachariah Ray-Shazier or, Alexander Sarr, guys like that. Not saying that I didn't. Not saying that they're bad basketball players, but because they didn't know who they were. The common fans not watching international games, Jake. They're not.
No, not
They're
at all.
just not. They're watching Duke, North Carolina. They're watching the NCAA tournament. So that's where we got to try to hype up these guys, make them these high picks, and then you're going to bring in those people who are college basketball fans watching their favorite player and then being like, hey, I want to see how he balls in the NBA. That's how I really started getting deep into the NBA. I liked it before. Yeah. I was always kind of a college guy first. I liked it before. And then Kevin Durant went to Texas. And I was like, whoa.
Yep.
Same thing. Wingspan.
That year. Guy. It's that year. It was honestly, it was Redick and Morrison first going off. And then it was Odin and Durant. And you're like, oh shit. Like, this is fun.
And I was like, I want to watch KD play LeBron. This guy's incredible.
Yep.
I was like, this is incredible. And so I went from, watching all the Texas games to watching
after that, we get Derrick Rose.
Yep. And I think we need more of that. And I'm hoping that watching these college guys balling out right away. I think if you look at the rookie ladder, I think it's McCain Connect 1 and 2, which is awesome to see. I mean, Jalen Williams is another one from Oklahoma City. He's been incredible. He was a guy who played a whole college career. I mean, right. So it's these kind of players that we get to watch that we're familiar with already, and then we get to watch them in the NBA. So I'm hoping that these guys kind of set the stage, and then Cooper Flagg helps, and we start to push back in the direction of watching elite talent in college basketball, and then watching how they adjust to the NBA. Because I'll tell you what, man, it's been a joy to watch these guys ball in the NBA. It really has. As bad as the Sixers have been, as much as I don't want to say dislike the Lakers, but it's the Lakers. I've seen the Lakers too many times. It's been just fun watching Connect and McCain ball.
Yep, it's been a blast, man. It's a great point, and I'm excited for this college basketball season too. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a really fun one. Let's speed through our weekend preview before we got to feed the wheel here. Pacers, Bucks. One of these teams got to figure it out, man. And the Halliburton thing is so sad for especially me and you. We've been on the Halliburton train since that man got drafted, and it's what is going on? What's going on with Tyrese? I think too much WWE. Is he thinking of too much about being a wrestler than a basketball player? Like, is it that kind of thing where he's like the celebrity is like getting into his head too much? He's not locked in.
I don't think it's that. More so, I think it's kind of the injury and the fact that I just don't think he's playing with that much confidence right now. Yeah. Also, too, he doesn't have to be a guy who scores 25 a night. He never had to be. And he had that stretch where he did. And maybe it kind of like, I don't want to say changed him, but maybe changed everyone's perception of Tyrese Halliburton, where we think maybe he can be that guy. But you look at this team around him, you got Ben Mathurin, you got Pascal Siakam, you got Miles Turner, you got guys who can help him out. All three of those guys are capable of scoring 20 a night. I'm not going to give up on the Pacers. Also, Halliburton still, too, really young, and I like the guy. I think it's the opposite issue with the Milwaukee Bucks, where they're just old, and Giannis is literally doing everything for a team that's doing nothing around him.
The Bucks are now all of a sudden like one of my top league pass teams because I just want to watch Giannis try to like score 50 and 20 every night, which is basically what he's trying to do. Like the other night, Wednesday night, I was just sitting at home and was watching wrestling. There was nothing really else on. I was like, what basketball game am I going to put on tonight? And I went with Bucks Rockets. I watched Bucks Rockets start to finish the other night. It was a great game, an awesome game. But that's what it was. That was my impression. I was like, every time I look up, because I'm doing other stuff, watching. It wasn't wrestling. It was something else. I don't remember. Whatever else I was doing. And just, peeking over, checking it out. And every time you see it, Giannis has the ball in his hand doing something. Like every time you glance, if you're just glancing over, Giannis has the ball in his hand every time with the Bucks. And he is that involved in the offense. And he kind of has to be because this team is.
He needs to be. I mean, when he had 59 and 14, I think it was, they went to overtime against the Pistons. I mean, crazy. But, yeah, I think they're two different spots. I'm not worried about the Pacers yet. Like I said, I think – I don't want to say I don't want to say he's lost it. I just think maybe it's the confidence a little bit, but he's still a very talented player, and he's got talent around him that should help him. The Bucks, on the other hand, it's Giannis.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. I added this on here for you. Your Mavericks are playing Friday night.
Yeah,
big game in Denver, but no Luka, so it's not as exciting and thrilling as a matchup. But
see if Jokic plays, I'm not sure.
And I
know he was out with personal reasons, but
and that changes the trajectory of potentially this game too. Nuggets Lakers.
Nuggets are a completely different team with and without Jokic.
Yeah.
So,
but if Jokic is playing this weekend, they got a couple. Those are back-to-back nights for them. That's a really interesting weekend for the Nuggets as a snapshot of where they're at.
Right. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. It's like I said, I think Jokic probably will play because it was personal matter. I don't know exactly what or when. I think he should be back for these games. Mavs Nuggets will be fun. Kyrie Irving show, and then Lakers Nuggets. It always seems like they play
always
a good
is a
game,
show.
Man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll probably lock in for both those games.
I agree. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's get this wheel cooking.
Ready for it. Let's do it.
Oh, wait.
Let's do it for it.
Oh, here we go. Look at this.
Oh, there we go. Clean. What do we have here?
Come on. Don't do it to us. The wheel is taunting us again.
The Denver Nuggets.
Didn't you just hear us, Wheel? We were just talking about the Nuggets.
We just said Jokic come back. I mean, I gave a whole spiel about the Nuggets and what Jokic is doing last week. So I'll let you start with this, Jake. I don't know how much Nuggets you've watched. I don't know how much Nuggets you've seen. I've tried to watch as much Jokic as possible when he's playing. Nuggets are not easy to watch when he's not playing. But I don't know if Jokic will be back. He wasn't at practice today.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
I don't know what's going on.
I guess it's a game time decision. Yeah, who knows what's going on there? Hopefully everything's okay. I'm trying to think. I've jumped into some Nuggets game. I haven't watched. I don't think that besides the Thunder game, I don't think I've watched one in full. But I watched when they played the Heat a little bit. There's been a lot of these games I've jumped into and checked out portions of. The Nuggets don't Slick. He said spin again. Slick does spin again. Slick. We can't do that. The wheel does not.
How it works. The wheel has spoken.
The wheel spoke. We have to listen. That's just what we're stuck with here. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. My biggest impression is what we've just been talking about is that if Jokic is going to do this, then they're going to be in the thick of it in the West all year. But they are still only like 8-5 right now. They are getting good production from Porter or Jamal, but wouldn't you they're both at 18.3 points.
Yeah, but
one of them get to 20,
No, I don't think they need to. I genuinely don't think
they are.
Need to,
they do have
they got
scoring,
They got Christian Brown, who has maybe. I think he's been better than KCP in the starting lineup. This is another guy, not to go back.
It has
to
been
what
a
I said
breakout
earlier,
year for him.
But with the college basketball guys, this was a guy at Kansas, learned from Bill Self, played a few years at Kansas, really kind of learned the game, and now you see what he's doing in a 35-minute role. He's been incredible. Him and Jokic seem to have unbelievable chemistry, and this is kind of we talked about the Nuggets, right? And we're like, nothing really changed the past couple of years. What's changed with the Nuggets? Have they gotten better? Have they gotten worse? Jokic is there, and everything else kind of falls into place, right? They've been without Aaron Gordon for a little bit, but Aaron Gordon, you know how he goes. He has some big games. He has some small games. Michael Porter Jr., same way. Jamal Murray hasn't looked great so far this year, but if they can get a guy to step up like Christian Brown has so far this year, and they can, Peyton Watson has been pretty good off the bench. Russell Westbrook has looked pretty good after a slow start to the year. He's been solid off the bench. This is a team who can beat anyone. Hey, you call it how you see it, right? I know it's kind of the boring. You want to see the shiny new car, but this is a team that could beat anyone. Jokic is putting up the best stats of his career so far before he's missed the past couple games. And like I said, Christian Brown's been an upgrade. No disrespect to KCP. Christian Brown has been an absolute upgrade this year.
The larger discussion here, too, that we can have with the Nuggets is that we're talking about these West contenders. And Oklahoma City is going to get their bigs back and be the best team in the West again, I'm sure. But we're talking about them right now. They have to catch up to the Lakers, Warriors, and Rockets. They can do that. Yeah. Like I love those three teams. I'm very high on them. I think they're all very good. The Nuggets can be better than them if they're healthy and going the way they should be going.
Would any of those three teams be favored over the Nuggets in a playoff series?
No,
I don't think so. If anything, it'd be a pick.
I don't think anybody in the West would be favored.
Thunder might be minus 150. Minus
maybe
150.
The Suns, maybe the healthy Suns, depending on what they look like.
Sure. Maybe. But this is the thing, and it's kind of
like the Suns also have a negative point differential right now, so they're not passing my.
Yeah, well, they also lost KD for a little bit too, so that doesn't
lost 5 in a row right now. It's tough. It's not
not great. But that's the thing, right? Everyone I don't want to say gave up on the Nuggets, but it was just kind of like they didn't really do anything, make any huge moves besides bringing in an older Westbrook. And we're like, we're just bored of this team. We're sick and tired of them. They got their championship. That's probably the only one they're going to get, yada, yada, yada. It's just a good team, man. And I say this all the time. The NBA Finals, the playoffs is based on superstars. You look at the past 35, probably 50 years of NBA champions. There might be one or two outliers, but every team has had a legitimate superstar. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA. He is. There's not a question right now. He is the best player in the NBA, and they got solid players around him, so they're going to be fine. I'm curious to see when Jokic will come back because Jokic, if you need to take Friday. Jokic, take all the time you need. Take Friday, kick your feet up, relax, come back for the Lakers. You don't want to risk Friday. Just rest. You got a lot going on. I have no idea what you got going on, but I know it's important because you missed a few games. So you take the Friday off. Take the whole week. Jokic would be like someone working a 9 to 5. They take off Monday through Thursday. Like, I'll come back Friday before the weekend. No.
Why would you do that?
Jokic, this is your 9 to 5, Jokic. You've said this multiple times. This is work. This is a job. This is your 9 to 5. Take the Friday off. You'll feel good. Come back next week. But they're a good team. They're a threat. And like I said, I'm very impressed with Christian Brown. And that's not to bring up the college basketball point again, but that's another example of a guy who had a nice college career and has adjusted he's just adjusted well to the NBA. Seamless transition.
Yeah. Seamless. It does say that the Altitude TV reporter Katie Wing, I don't know exactly how to say that his absence, she can confirm that he and his family are fine and there's nothing to be alarmed about.
That's good. Good.
Good. Slick one on this. We gave Jason Tatum his flowers earlier. We don't need more Jason Tatum talk here.
Slick, I talked about it before, Slick. I had to go Stevie Boston at the start. I thought Tatum was a superstar before they won the championship. I still say he's a superstar after he won the championship. I'm not putting him over Jokic, Giannis, or Luka. If you want to, That's fine, Slick. You can have that. But the fact of the matter is that people overreact too much. Tatum got way too much hate. And Slick, I know you watch all the happy hour hoops. I know you watch all of them. You know I've always defended Jason Tatum. You know I've always defended with Donnie and said that he gets way too much criticism. It's ridiculous. And I love that now he won the championship. Everyone's like, oh, yes, he must be good. They won a championship. Nothing really changed in the player's ability. Jake and I talked about this earlier in the show, Slick. So they're no, Tatum. Oh, Tatum, not a superstar. Slick, you know we're always on. You know we're always on the right side there. So let's pump. Let's pump the brakes. Let's pump the brakes, Slick. Love you, Slick.
Love you, Slick. All right,
we've went so way too much about Boston without talking.
We will be well, yeah, I know that's crazy. We did talk a lot about the Boston Celtics today, but we will not be here next Thursday. It's Thanksgiving, guys. Go spend time with your family, your loved ones, your friends, whatever you got to do on Thanksgiving. We wish you a happy holiday, and we will be back the following week, Thursday, which will be, Steve, the last podcast I do in this said room before I move to new apartment, new podcast setup, hopefully a little cleaner. So I got a guest bedroom now. So this is gonna be my actual bedroom.
Studio?
We're gonna have a little setup going. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is gonna look a little different around here in a couple weeks. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Steve, as always. Have a great night, folks. Enjoy the next couple weeks of hoop. We're gonna have a lot to talk about in a couple weeks. A lot gonna be coming. Yeah, Slick, you're always invited. You know that. Slick's always invited. Steve's always invited. Dunny sometimes, if depending on how strong the Boston Cleveland rivalry is going, we'll have to revisit. Everybody's invited. It's a welcome party. It's a party here at Happy Hour Hoops. That's what we're here for. All right, folks.